So Call of Duty Next is in 12 days. There, it's quite possible we see DMZ revealed to the world. So let's take a look at everything we've heard officially and unofficially up until this point about the rumored DMZ game mode. Drop your thoughts below on what you're looking forward to, and if you enjoy the video, drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing ahead of Call of Duty Next, the beta, and the launch shortly to follow here, all within the next 2 months or so. And finally, if you guys would like to get connected a little further, check out my Twitch channel linked in the description below. We're live over there nearly daily at this point as of late, so we'd love to chat with you. But for now, let's talk about some DMZ. So this video is going to be the first of a few upcoming Everything We Know series videos, getting you ready for Call of Duty Next, and everything that we'll be able to see in just a few days' time. And today, I want to start out with perhaps the most mysterious of information here, that being DMZ. For Call of Duty Next, we know that we'll be seeing detailed officially a full Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer reveal, more details regarding Modern Warfare 2, information on the next Call of Duty Warzone, and more on the mobile version of Call of Duty Warzone, and finally what's listed as redacted information and surprises. Now, this in and of itself is our first sort of big teaser as to what's coming, because what's left that could even be redacted? Infinity Ward has already fully acknowledged Modern Warfare 2's campaign, multiplayer, and even Spec Ops, while also outwardly discussing Warzone 2, and by extension, Warzone Mobile. So what's on the table that we haven't yet discussed? Officially, there's nothing left to be discussed, but unofficially, DMZ is this big portion of Modern Warfare 2 that's the last thing we haven't learned about at all. It was confirmed by recent leaks from players on the Los Angeles Rams who had a play session with Infinity Ward for Modern Warfare 2, as well as the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Rating Board, where they submitted their rating of Warzone 2, but it officially mentioned DMZ in that description of it. But from the official Call of Duty channels, we've had not a singular mention of it, and that's where I think COD Next will bring us our first real showcase of it. So what is DMZ? Again, unofficially, we have a ton of information as to what we may be able to expect, but do bear in mind that these leaks come from anywhere from a couple of weeks ago all the way back to last November, so outwards of 10 months ago, which in game dev, that can be a lifetime ago. So plenty of this could have changed, been adjusted slightly, scrapped altogether, or perhaps it's all still right on the money. We won't know until anything is confirmed, but this is what we've heard from insiders like Tom Henderson, Ralph's Valve, the Ghost of Hope, among others. Now, DMZ for Demilitarized Zone is a mode rumored to have been off and on again in development for the past 4 years, initially being intended for Modern Warfare 2019, but as we of course see, it never came to be. Described as an open world title, it will supposedly follow the elaborate storyline set up from campaign, following different characters, fronts, and quest lines, incorporating aspects of PvE and PvP events, with the objective of the mode being to accumulate loot within several separate maps before successfully extracting. You'll be able to loot abandoned homes, buildings, vehicles, crates, and even corpses, with each map's architecture varying between size and build, varying in open areas to claustrophobic districts and shanty towns. It's said that there are a number of extraction points layered across each map, provided that the player meets listed requirements, and if you successfully exfil, you'll end up seizing and securing all the loot that you acquired during that raid. So very high risk, very high reward mode. While oppositely, if you die during a raid, you'll end up losing all the items that you dropped into the map with. Fundamentally, if this is ringing any bells, you're not wrong. It may very well seem familiar, because just like Warzone wasn't the first battle royale, this isn't the first looter shooter or extraction-based shooter. Many are probably familiar with Escape from Tarkov, and this is looking to be Call of Duty's take on that and the genre, similar to how Warzone and Blackout were their takes on the battle royale genre. Now, early reports also stated that DMZ was to be a mode of 20 to 35 players in each map and lobby, independent of AI. That's something that will then add on to that, filling it out likely. It's also reported to be launching in beta to start, which I wouldn't be too worried about that if that actually does launch as such. Warzone launched in beta. It's more than likely just a way to use the community's feedback to round out the mode and build it to how we see fit, and also probably to avoid any red tape of constantly pushing updates that would otherwise have to go through first-party approval on Sony and Microsoft's end before pushing updates out to consoles. It's also said the mode is to exist independently and hopefully rival that of multiplayer, making this a massive offering in and of itself. But we'll come back to that in a bit, because how much is day one versus 6 months or more down the line may be up for discussion. But let's talk about some of these things we can expect to see within DMZ now that we know the fundamentals. As for the map, that's one of the big things that a lot of people are really interested in, and right now there seems to be a bit of discrepancy in reporting as to what will come out of this DMZ map. Some insiders like Tom Henderson believe that we'll see the map be one large shared world with Warzone 2. So what we see with Warzone 2's map is then, by this reporting, what we'll see in DMZ as well. However, others like the Ghost of Hope and Ralph's Valve say there will be 4 maps total here that we can play on, and technically, while it does mention 4 maps, both can be true. It's very likely that it could just be a matter of how Ground War was handled, with those maps being sections of Verdansk, the larger Warzone world. But right now, there's no real definitive answer just yet. If it is a shared Warzone 2 map, we've already actually seen a leaked sketch of what this looks to be, and this being up on screen, this is what we've had for a couple of months now as the rumored Warzone 2 map, and maybe by extension DMZ. Now, as for some gameplay features, there's a lot of things here that will be different from just your standard queue up and play 6v6 multiplayer. Firstly, we talked about recently how Intel is apparently going to be returning, something that looks to continue that narrative from campaign and potentially Spec Ops, or if it goes anywhere else besides DMZ, continuing that on a little further, offering up more to the story, more to the overall narrative on Modern Warfare 2 as a whole. We saw this happen already with Modern Warfare 2019. Campaign then shifted into Spec Ops then continued into Warzone. Warzone then ended up having seasons that progressed the story, but ultimately gave us intel a couple of seasons in. One massive thing that's being reported is that there's going to be a marketplace to buy, sell, and trade items with in-game currency, not real-life money, so hopefully don't get too worried on that one, but this is a massive thing that we've never seen in Call of Duty before. So that is one thing that is kind of like, okay, this is a really big project. Is this too good to be true? And it's one of those things that maybe some people may be skeptical on, but it's something that apparently skins, blueprints, and more will be available to access through this marketplace that then can be used across DMZ, multiplayer, and Warzone 2. Now, the way that I kind of imagine this in a more direct sense with comparison to other looter shooters is that you may be able to get things like attachments, utility, healing items, and other loot that can be directly built up and help you in-game from said marketplace. Just like Escape from Tarkov, you can do all that kind of stuff in there. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes that route if it actually is introduced here. Now, beyond that, we'll end up seeing missions and contracts also introduced here in the gameplay loop. Now, these were taken directly from the Warzone mobile game files, which that build is required to pull from the Modern Warfare 2 game files, since it's a shared version of Warzone 2, which is being built for Modern Warfare 2. So it's a whole convoluted thing, but essentially Warzone mobile leaked a lot of this kind of stuff. But it seems like the missions will be like the mission system from Modern Warfare 2. I could be misinterpreting that, but it ends up having some top-down, like higher level challenges to complete, but also they give some insight into what we can actually expect in terms of the gameplay experience. There's a couple of things that are really cool out of this, where you search for radioactive materials, which will be interesting to see how that plays out. There's another mention also of rescuing hostages, so interesting twists here that we could see in the gameplay loop there. And then when we take a look at the challenges overall, those seem to be more so in-game. We end up learning about things being grunts as the designation for AI in DMZ. Contracts actually themselves, again, are returning here. Wiping squads indicates that you can squad up with players, so assumingly solos to maybe quads. Cash is apparently returning, though that's probably to no one's surprise, especially because plunder is likely going to be a thing within Warzone 2. There'll be specific items lootable down to minute details like liquor bottles, so truly an open world experience after all. Other things include intel and USB sticks, control room keys, and a bunch of other things that will hint at where you can go within this map. Buy stations are apparently returning, but perhaps with a twist, because one of the challenges requires you to end up purchasing a sniper rifle at a buy station or elsewhere to eliminate hostile enemies. So maybe you end up having to purchase your weapons here and you drop in with a little bit less than ideal items, but it seems like we can buy weapons in-game, buying your loadout perhaps. Quarry is also confirmed as a POI through some of these challenges we learned about. But outside of that, that's some big gameplay features here at a top level, fundamentally adjusting the gameplay loop. But as for design, again, there's lots of AI apparently. That's something that was stressed all the way back in June, that AI was going to be a big focal point here for not only just the campaign in Modern Warfare 2, but potentially stretching over into Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, as well as Warzone 2, and then perhaps by extension with this, DMZ. Now, there are rumors that AI is being reeled back from Warzone 2 a little bit, but we'll see how all that breaks down. Again, likely at COD Next. There also is rumors that the movement will be a little bit slower, prioritizing some of that armor and your loadout, so adding some real-world sort of weight to it. If you have a heavier vest on, it's going to slow you down, as opposed to if you don't have any armor on at all. Now, that said, that's some of the details here that we learned as of recently, but the last thing that I want to talk about here is a potential release date for this, because there was a rumor for a long time that this would be a free-to-play installment, something for Call of Duty, coming in 2023, allowing us to have a new revitalization, something new free-to-play, filling out that 2023 year, which was otherwise going to be a sort of gap year. Now, that's something that those rumors have either since been left without further explanation or context, or sometimes have even been walked back. So now it's sort of believed to simply release with Modern Warfare 2, but how much comes with it is the real question if you ask me. We talked about this a little bit in this video already, mentioning it, but we also had a discussion at length about how DMZ could honestly be that wild card mode for Modern Warfare 2. It seems like the plans are very grand in scale, something to rival multiplayer in terms of sizing, in terms of player base, and in terms of support. So how much of that is actually going to be at day one, or perhaps 6, 7, 8, 9 months down the line, and is the product of an evolution of DMZ over time. It has been stated by insiders that the game is intended to evolve over time, and it's also been stated that some developers behind the scenes are kind of worried that people are setting unrealistic expectations for the game mode. So how should we end up interpreting this? I mean, with a prior leak indicating that the game mode will be releasing in beta, there's a part of me that wonders if we should maybe curb our expectations a little bit here, in which maybe we don't have these unrealistic ideas for launch and that sort of level that we expect it to be. I think a safe bet in terms of expectations, not getting your hopes up too much and then being disappointed, is that maybe we'll get that basic premise of it all, that it gives us DMZ, but we'll have way more worked in over time. It's very similar to how Call of Duty as a whole, the multiplayer experience is a much different game at launch versus at the last month of support. You have so much more DLC weapons, maps, cosmetics, and everything like that, tons of quality of life changes that have adjusted the game mode over time, and so therefore it's an entirely different thing compared to when it launched. And I think DMZ may very well be another product of that. So how big in scale this seems to be, that might not be the day one, but instead 6, 7, 8 months down the line where they want it to be. So that said, that is where we're at here, and that is everything that we know about DMZ so far. A lot of stuff is out there in regards to what we know, but realistically, again, we have nothing officially confirmed here from Call of Duty, Infinity Ward, no social channels, no PR, no nothing. So it seems like this may be a surprise drop here at COD Next, or maybe the worst kept secret behind the fact that this year's game would be Modern Warfare 2. We all knew that from the past 2 years, but of course they never confirmed it back then, so maybe this is that second worst kept secret. Anyways, though, that's what we're gonna call it. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down below. Are you guys looking forward to DMZ here within Modern Warfare 2 and the year ahead? What are your hopes for the mode? Are you excited for it at all? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing running all things Modern Warfare 2, DMZ, COD Next. We'll be at the event streaming, so of course we'll keep the video with absolutely everything you need to know leading up to, during the event, and afterwards into the beta and into the launch window. So make sure you're here for all of it. But that said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.